Let's move to this now. COVID-19's effect on education is not over. The latest report from Unicef says more dropouts are expected. This is because at least 23 countries, which are home to over 400 million children of school-going age, are yet to reopen schools full-time. So let's discuss this with Lienke van der Wiel from Unicef's Eastern and Southern Africa Regional Office. Lienke, thank you so much for your time and good morning to you. Quite worrisome that even 2 years on into the pandemic, school-going children still affected, by COVID-19, by the impact at least of the pandemic. And what does your report say about the dire state with which this impact, of course, impacts rather on these young children?
Yeah, no, thank you for having me. And it is indeed a very important topic for all of us in UNICEF, and it should be for all of us in the world. As you say, globally, we have not been able to bounce back by any means or form in terms of getting kids back to school, including in our region. We have done a little bit better in our region of going back already last year in 21. But that's not to say that the learning losses have been caught up. In fact, we are really suffering the learning losses of children. Children are not able to read or write the way they should. We already had a really learning crisis before COVID. Now that crisis has only increased. And we really see young children not even be able to read the basic sentences, to recognize letters. And in fact, the other thing we've seen, that young kids went backwards. So some of the ones who were in first grade, after 2 years of COVID, they forgot to learn how to read and write. Same with numeracy. So these are very concerning developments. And we really need to have all hands on deck to reverse that and accelerate the learning to go back to before COVID, if not even better. Yes.
With that being said, what do you think it would take, to recover from this, just in terms of making sure this, the school-going, pupils get back into their rhythm of school, they go back to school, and of course we recover from this impact of the pandemic?
Yeah, and I think here we can't be very shy or modest in terms of what we all need to chip in. We need absolutely all hands on deck. First of all, we need the education system to rethink how they did business. We need to be much more focused on the kids' individual needs, because you need, if you lost a lot of learning, you can't just go back into the grade and expect that everything will be back to normal. So what is happening, we need to have more innovative methodologies to reach the kids at the right level and accelerate. Our countries in the region do fairly well in finding different methodologies, but much more needs to be done. In addition, of course, we need more teachers, in fact, because if you have such a learning loss, you need much more intensive teaching, more individual teaching. So instead of less teachers, what we see now, we actually need more teachers. And we need much more funding going towards the education system. In fact, we need to rethink the way we were doing education. Much more investment, domestic and external investment.
Absolutely. Innovation around education needed at this time more than ever. Lienke, I couldn't agree there more with you. But thank you so much. UNICEF's Lienke van der Wiel speaking to us about the devastating impact COVID-19 has had on schools. So, Gareth, again, we're talking unemployment, youth unemployment. Now we see it trickling down, at least the impact of the pandemic, trickling down into school. And then you wonder what happens to this value chain, because you leave school to get to university, to find a job. But it seems now we see that value chain affected, at least in the country.
It's almost like it's coming full circle, and we're going to keep going around and around again. But that's what we're going to focus on throughout today here on eNCA. We've got